Yo, what's up guys, welcome back. So, new Monarch support is up, so let's try it out. Alright. The Monarch support is fairly solid. Going first, the deck feels unstoppable. You'll see in a few moments. The deck is much more consistent going first. Going second, definitely has potential, but the current format is just far too broken. You'll see in a few moments. So this is the current build. Two new cards I'm not running. The Trap, this one, Culmination, which, you know, contains the old school Monarchs effects, what is it, discard one random card, etc. Which is fine. You need to banish, you can use all of their effects, by the way, all of those effects from the Trap, as long as you banish, what is it, a Monarch spell and trap, or trap, from the graveyard. Which is fine, but I don't want to make too many traps. One of the Prime just fine as a one-off, and Erupt, the skill drainage one, continuous trap. I prefer that one over the trap, the pop trap, the new one. Or pop or discard, you know. And I don't feel I want to make more traps, that is. I think it's just fine as a side deck option, you know, potentially against stuff like Labyrinth, more slower decks, if you know you're going first. So that's number one. The second card that I'm not running is the new Foolish Burial, the one that, what is it, lets you tribute summon during your opponent's turn by banishing it, or when it's banished, and then, you know, you can tribute summon the OG Monarchs. I don't feel those in a main deck. I don't think, because you're heavily dependent on your opponent. Sure, the new Monarch, the new, you know, Eidos Monarch can change attributes, but it feels iffy. You're relying too much on your opponent. Sure, you can run Mithra, give your opponent a token, but I don't feel that much. Then again, you could maybe side deck, like if the format is dark oriented, I could see myself main decking Moncaius. Yeah. You know, if you know your opponent is on dark, or dark is pretty much the attribute to beat in the current format. So those two new cards I'm not running. So okay, the point of the deck, basically the same. As you saw, your opening turns are much more explosive. The one-off edge is not going to butcher your hand or butcher your turns. This is also one of the new spells, Rebellion. Discard one card, and then basically like Pantheism, reveal, what is it, 3 Monarchs cards, monstrous. Well, monsters basically, the vassals or the tribute monsters, and then your opponent has to pick a run. The thing is that you can, by doing this, you can either, you know, send like the new Eidos, the Monarch, from your hand to the graveyard to set it up in the graveyard, or thanks to this Pantheism Rebellion, right, your opponent is forced to pick one while the other two are sent to the graveyard. And that could potentially trigger your new Idea, right? Whenever it's sent to the graveyard, it fetches the OG Idea from the deck. So again, fantastic card. It doesn't waste your normal summon right. And this is kind of disgusting of the deck. Like, going for multiple Erebus during the first turn is not too uncommon, especially after getting like hand trapped once or twice. You can still go for 1, 2, or even maybe 3 Erebus during, you know, during your opening turn, because you should have 3 normal summons. You have your regular summon, you have the Idea into Eidos tribute summon, and the new Idea also gives you an extra tribute summon. So that's 3 normal summons you have, tribute summons you have, during one turn. Kind of cool, right? Especially after getting hand trapped once or twice. The thing is that, as you saw here in both first and second replay, you could play it a little bit more greedy and going for Ether, searching Ether, so, you know, you can tribute summon during their turn. And then, as you know, because the level 6, the new Eidos Monarch is in the graveyard, it can special summon itself, get another surge during their turn. So, you know, you can definitely do that, but I prefer going for the Erebuses, you know. Get rid of their outs and answers for your potential big hand. The one of Encamouflage is still there. Going first, the card is fantastic, still gives you an extra draw, still a tribute fodder. Going second, the card is iffy, because you know, it's basically blocking your extra deck or Stormfort plays, because you summoned from your extra deck during the turn, so you cannot use Stormfort. But if you know you're going second, you could side deck the card out, and going first, the card is still very solid. So anyway, like Chainlink 4, again, not uncommon for this deck. It's silly how much advantage this deck now with the new support grinds. I still prefer one return for this, potential searches, the Aether for example, or Erebus, New Monarch, but mostly Aether, or maybe even Majesty's Fiend. Like, look at this. 3 Tribute Summon, guys. 3 Tribute Summons. Erebus to force out hand trap, Vanity's Fiend to drop, and still use the new ED extra Tribute Summon to get Majesty's Fiend on field. And it was needed, because what is it? Imperm on Majesty's Fiend, so now they would have been able to surge the Skyburn, I believe the spell is, that pops cards. So they would have been able to pop my domain and, go off, but Erupt says no. So that's why Erupt is there. Before, I wasn't a fan of Erupt because, again, consistency, etc. But now the deck can support it. Now the deck can definitely support, like, searching domain, searching Erupt, and go from there. That's really solid. Okay, going second. Fenrir's are still there. The thing is that as long as Fenrir is at 2 or 3 in the format, I still think you need to play it. It's flexible, Tribute Father. It could be a Tribute Summon worst case scenario. It deals with floodgates, it puts pressure on your opponent's board, even though boards nowadays are super, like ridiculous. Look at this interaction. So we go for Stormfort first, go for, Fenrir not using its effect, and then go for Vanity's Fiend. And this is one of the reasons why I like for now, as you saw in the build, I think I'm only running 2 Fiend. I will probably put it at 3 again, because of, again, if you're going second, I don't think the deck needs hand traps. Maybe Mulch Army, Nip. Decks nowadays play around Nip, but the Mulch Army, yeah, maybe. But because of this, again, as soon as Vanity's Fiend hits the field, they are not able to use the Eclipse to, reborn the Detonator. They cannot use Imperm as soon as Vanity's Fiend hits the field, and then use Eclipse to reborn Detonator. No, that's all too late. So those 1-card Tribute Summons is something that I, craved before, and now with this new Eidos, the deck has another solid low-level Tribute, level 6, right? 1-card Tribute needed, next to Majesty's Fiend and Vanity's Fiend. And that definitely comes up because of Stormfort, right? Super flexible, you don't need to commit domain to the field, potentially trigger Detonator, and so on. So, like Short said, I'm definitely going to main a 3 Vanity's Fiend because of this. Potentially going second into a board of a couple of negations or interruptions, Masquerina, etc. Stormfort, Vanity's Fiend, and then your opponent needs to deal with that. Okay, going second against, what is it, Snake Eyes, Fire Kings, whatever. The Fire King matchup is a problem. Both decks can grind, but I feel the Fire King deck can grind much more. But there's one major flaw for this particular matchup. Ash, again, you'll see in a few moments on the Tenacity, that's fine-ish. I guess you're better off to keep Ash for the Rebellion. So the thing here is that Desiree does not negate the activation, and that's a problem. Unlike, I don't know, Boral Savage or Siren Dragon Affinity, all of them negate Stormfort, negate the activation. So, you would have been able to later in the same turn still use another Stormfort. But with Desiree, that's sadly not possible. And, against that field, you need stuff like Stormfort. Or if you're going second, stuff like the new Soul Exchange might be nice to, Tribute Summon away multiple monsters from your opponent. So, we can still do some stuff. The problem here is, I know the Masquerina is blocked from Little Knight because of Promethean Princess, but, the Kirin is still in their hands, so that they can pop Promethean and still eventually go for Little Knight. So I was like, even though it's there are far too many cards I want to pick and send back, I just go for Masquerina, right, to prevent potential Little Knight as well for another interruption from coming out. So we go for Domain Lock, even though it's not that threatening. Deck over a couple of monsters, and that's the thing, right? Was Domain Lock not that threatening because of this Fire King grindy-ish deck. They're not reliant on their extra deck that much. I mean, Tinkabu was even running Pot of Extravagance, right? So Domain Lock is not that effective. So you need Majesty's Fiend, you need Vanity's Fiend in this matchup, and even Skyburn, it's an easy out for those cards. No March. I don't... March, maybe. Side deck. Depends on the format. Problem, and I've mentioned in my in real life deck profile a couple of weeks ago, is Droplet. Droplet, is an instant out against your tributes, and at the same time clears the Domain Lock from your opponent. So March does not protect for Domain Lock, or for Droplet. So it is what it is. So this is fine-ish, but again, not enough. Not enough. You're able to tribute summon away the, what was it, the Link 2? But, I mean, Fire King's right, Garonix, Reborn stuff, go for the rank 8, blow out the entire field. So it feels like a losing battle, and what is it, I think I'm left at, what, 10-ish cards in my deck. That might be a reason that I might want to add in another Prime, you know, potentially set it to draw, but I'm not so sure about that. Like, the thing is that you're not using Prime that much, you know, like as in Reborn itself, because of all this new support. Look at this, like Idea add-ons and so on. It's super ridiculous. So yeah, I don't think you need to, right? At least 2 Primes. Again, you don't want to make that at least too many traps. So again, it feels like a losing battle. The Uncamufried, sure, I'm not able to use Storm for this turn, but again, not having a tribute in hand hurts. With tenacity, that is right. Like, sure, Erebus can, you know, get itself back from the graveyard or any other tributes, but it's not going to be enough. The Fiendsmith package recycles itself. The Fire King package is a continuous threat. They have no Ashes, Imperms. You know, that's so hard to, you know, get rid of. So like, how many Erebus Margaret? Like, how many how many times do I need to Erebus? They always have negations for it. So it again feels like a losing battle. I don't think like Fiends or whatever. Like maybe Soul Exchange, the new Soul Exchange. But even then, right? They can do so much. Plus Skyburn, like Fire King matchup is a hard one. But I'm happy with the build. But, you know, testing out the new support. Depending on the format, I might main deck the other Monarch spell. Right, the goods, right, Foolish Burial of Goods, and the quick play tribute during their turn for the OG Monarch. Like, if the format is an attribute-oriented heavy meta, like Dark, I might main deck Chaos for that, but I don't see a reason for that. Other options in the side deck, the Stalos for burn damage, right, attribute changing to give your Mega Monarchs that extra effect. Other than that, Magician's, what is it, Magician's Souls? Okay, you can send the new Monarch, which is a spellcaster, by the way, to the graveyard, but I don't think you need to do that. I'm not a huge fan of Magician's Souls, it just never works out. In theory, it sounds good, but nope. I'm not a huge fan of it. Another card, but that I'm probably coping, is Megazaborg. Again, because of the new Monarch, you can make it light, etc. You know, Megazaborg destroying their extra deck. But main deck feels a bit too much coping, so if you know you're going first, Megazaborg might actually be a solid side deck option. Against something like Rizal, for example, when you can destroy their extra deck. Call by Talent's Escalation might be another one with more Fiends. Needs more playtesting, and of course the new Trap. I think it's just fine as a side deck option. Again, if you know you're going first against somewhat slower decks, that might be a solid option. Okay, guys, is it? It's solid support. Going first, the deck is bonkers. Going second against like big boards, it hurts a little bit. Okay, thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. Riddim signing out. Peace.